All right, are you ready for our next speaker? He's incredible, and he's cute as a goddamn button, I tell you. We are proud to have with us the Chief Marketing Officer for Sotheby's International Realty Affiliates, LLC. In this role, he is responsible for overseeing and implementing all marketing, interactive, digital, advertising, and public relations initiatives for the Sotheby's International Realty brand. With an extensive background working with globally recognized luxury brands, his focus and passion are centered on creating an unparalleled customer experience through exceptional marketing and brand management. His unique perspective contributes to innovative ideas for developing systems and campaigns that complement the Sotheby's International Realty brand vision. Let's give a warm welcome to my next ex, Kevin D. Thompson.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here, and thank you, Jeff, for having us. This is my second year attending the conference, so I was really excited to get the opportunity to come and speak to everyone. I landed at Sotheby's International Realty after spending a long time in luxury retail, and when I first met with our CEO, almost 2 years ago now, when I met with Philip White, I thought this was going to be a fascinating opportunity to do something really exciting with a brand that has, for a long time, ruled in the luxury space, and not just in real estate. The Sotheby's auction house, who we share 300 years of history and heritage with through our brand, has really been regarded as the preeminent auction house for the world's cherished possessions for such a long time. And so when I was talking to Philip, and I had come out of working with brands like Gucci and Barney's New York and Montclair, and so we went through the huge disruption that happened to the retail marketplace 10 years ago, and we had to rebuild those brands. We had to figure out what the consumer wanted from a brand like Gucci. Tom Ford had just departed, and retail sales had flatlined across all of their stores. And what we landed on there was this idea of brand heritage and being able to really effectively communicate the story of who we are as a brand, and connecting in a very personal and meaningful way with consumers. So we had to do a lot of homework about what consumers wanted from the brand, how they felt about luxury retail brands, and try our best to deliver that. We did that again at Barney's New York. I got to join a really fabulous team there. And so when I sat with Philip for the first time, I thought, what's fascinating about this opportunity is that this is a brand that's been doing everything so well for so long that I'm looking forward to coming into this role and really just stepping on the gas and taking it forward. We didn't have to do any rebuilding. We didn't have to tear anything down the way that some of the retail brands that I had worked for did. And what felt familiar about some of the conversations that we were having was that the disruption that is happening now, and I know all of you sense the disruption that's happening in the real estate industry, happened to luxury retail a decade ago. I think real estate is one of the last sort of bastions or the last industries to go through this kind of big disruption. And so some of that conversation felt familiar. I was really excited to get rolling. I made note yesterday when I was listening to some of the presentations about the notion of storytelling and just how important that is now. I mentioned earlier, we share a 300 years of history and heritage with Sotheby's Auction House. We spent last summer doing a really deep dive with the Boston Consulting Group into our brand and what our brand means and what consumers want from us. In the eyes of consumers, they really look at the Sotheby's Auction House and Sotheby's International Realty as one and the same, which is fantastic. That's a huge asset for us. And what that does is provide us with an opportunity to tell really incredible stories in a way that no other real estate brand can do. When we mapped out all of our brand character traits, and I'll share a little bit more of that conversation in a minute, the Sotheby's International Realty brand was this real outlier in the real estate industry, and it's because of the auction house, and it's because we've been having these amazing conversations with consumers for such a long time. And so in a lot of ways, I feel like that makes us immune to some of the disruption, but it also allows us to have an opportunity to tell very genuine and meaningful stories about the brand and our people and our agents and all of our affiliates that are deeper and I think more valuable to a lot of consumers. So we have this great platform. It's a partnership with the auction house. If you don't know, the Sotheby's Auction House was founded in London in 1744. They started as a bookseller. They sold rare coins. They sold the Library of Napoleon, another sort of great story that we get to tell. They have this revered tradition I mentioned of marketing the world's most cherished possessions, and they are the oldest company listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Sotheby's International Realty was born out of the Sotheby's auction house in the mid-'70s, and so we have spent some time building our history as well.
The stock market has not been seen for decades. It's a great, great privilege.
That's sort of mission further than being in front to progress art.
If you can't see the beautiful days today, you still see the paint of them.
So what does this all mean to agents who work with Sotheby's International Realty? The auction house gives us access to the lives of affluent people all around the world, the most highly qualified, influential home buyers in every luxury market around the world. It gives us a unique insight into the aspirations of the newly affluent. And I know that's been a topic of discussion here a lot. I've heard agents talking about it individually. It's been talked about on the stage, the idea that there is this wave of millennial wealth and affluence that is fast approaching. We talk about this all the time at our corporate office. There is what will be the largest intergenerational transfer of wealth ever known is fast approaching in the next 5 to 7 years, when the older millennials are going to start to inherit wealth, and a lot of them are going to use that money to buy homes, and John Payton talked about this as well. What's different for that audience is their journey. They're going to use those dollars to do the same thing. The first-time home buying age in the United States hasn't changed for about 40 years. In the mid-'70s, it was 30.4. 2 years ago, it was 30.6. So it's not changing. And sure, there are lots of millennials who are going to go off and live in a yurt in the hills of California somewhere, or their parents' basements until they're 45. But there are a lot of them that are just going to buy homes. And so our relationship with the auction house allows us insight, allows us to give our agents access. We partner with the auction house on a number of events throughout the year in destinations all around the world. We have upcoming events in London, Dubai, and in California. The image that you see is actually the Woolworth Tower, which is an exclusive listing of Sotheby's International Realty in Manhattan. And we're able to give our agents and our affiliates access to these events and to this audience, which is incredibly important to them. The other sort of really valuable aspect here, if you didn't know about how closely we worked with the auction house, we play on the psychology of what the auction house can do as well. So this is an image of a Basquiat painting that sold in May of last year. It sold for $110 million to a Japanese entrepreneur. It's the highest price paid for an American work of art ever. The previous time, what's fascinating to me is that the previous time that this painting sold, a little over a decade prior to this sale, it sold for less than $100,000. It sold at this sale for $110 million. That's what a brand like Sotheby's is able to do. They're able to gather this incredibly influential audience and put them in a room together and say, here is something of extraordinary value, and if you believe that and you buy into it, they're able to really set these records. This is the gentleman who bought the artwork. What I love is what he says here. I'm happy to announce that I just won this masterpiece. He paid $110 million for it. But he felt like he won it. That's how meaningful this was to him. And again, this happened at the auction house, but because of our connection through the auction house and our access to Mr. Mizawa, we were able to sell him 2 penthouse apartments in Hawaii in the year between buying the painting and now. So it's a fantastic relationship. I touched on the research that we did when I first joined the brand. I asked Philip White if we could sort of pause production in the marketing side and really spend some time doing some research about the brand. I wanted to know exactly what we needed to do to find a better balance between the history and the heritage of Sotheby's and Sotheby's International Realty and its relevance to a new consumer, and make sure that we were playing on both of those, that we found the right balance. It's a tricky thing to do. It's something I had some experience with working at Gucci and Barney's, as I mentioned before. We had to balance the tradition of those century-old brands, but make sure that they were relevant to consumers today. And that's bringing that to life is what we work really hard to do with all of our agents. So we took on this project. We wanted to do a deep dive into the brand with the Boston Consulting Group, and they work with the biggest brands in the world all the time. So we spent 10 weeks with them. We paused a lot of our production with the marketing team, and this was one of the slides out of the recommendations that came back from BCG. We got this 120-page book. And what was interesting to me was about this slide was that this is the competitive set that consumers created for our brand as part of the research. So we would have these blind focus groups where we'd have individuals come in and have a 3-hour conversation with them, and the first hour and a half was unbiased feedback. They didn't know that Sotheby's was sponsoring the conversation. And one of the exercises they had to do was to create a competitive set for our brand. They did this for a number of other real estate brands as well. And this is what they designed for Sotheby's. Our competitive set was Prada, BMW, Burberry, Louis Vuitton, Cartier, Four Seasons, Gucci, Chanel, and Barney's. There's something missing from this list, right? If this is our competitive set, there are no other real estate brands there. And that was fascinating to us as well. We thought, okay, if this is the mindset of the consumer, and I think we do this at the brand level, I think all of you do this every day, working directly with individual consumers to figure out the mindset and make sure you're giving them what they want, whether it's delivered through brand assets or your own personal brand and the relationship that you're building. So this was the competitive set. So we thought, if this is where our brand lives in the minds of consumers, it's worth paying a lot of attention to that and worth us mapping out or creating a roadmap to target consumers in the way that these brands do. So that's what we were able to do. We took a lot of the learning from the research, and I don't think you can ever do enough research. I think it's something that just has to be going on all the time. And we created a brand campaign that was really focused on living a Sotheby's International Realty lifestyle. We heard consumers say in the focus groups all the time, I aspire to live a Sotheby's lifestyle, and I don't know that they say that about very many brands, period, in any category, and so that's really important to us. So we launched a brand campaign called the Live campaign that was really focused on the idea that your best life begins with a home that inspires you. We reached out to Michaela de Prince, and she is a soloist in the Dutch National Ballet. And if you watch the Super Bowl, she had a Chase Bank commercial in the Super Bowl. She was sort of leaping between 2 pianos and transacting on her smartphone. She did our video first, but so she has this incredible story. She did a TED Talk, and we reached out and we thought, if you could just give us sort of a snippet of that TED Talk and spend some time in one of our homes. We reached out to our affiliate in Paris, and they gave us a beautiful apartment there. I'm sorry you won't get to see it today, but it's on our YouTube channel if you look for our Live films there. It's a really beautiful story that she has to tell, and we were able to do that sort of in the home, in this incredible apartment in Paris. And she talked about what it felt like to be in that home. And I think that's where we kind of struck gold with this campaign. We allowed people to talk about the feeling of living in a Sotheby's home, the idea that it means something to them to transact with the brand, to have a Sotheby's sign on their front lawn, to work with a Sotheby's agent. And it's really fascinating. It's it's what we're able to do in line with the auction house and that $110 million painting, the idea that we play on the psychology of the brand. And it's something important to think about, because those meaningful connections are worth more and more every day, and sort of the modern way that we communicate with consumers, the value of those connections to the brand just is getting more and more attention. We're able to create brand ads like this one. This is a property here in Palm Springs. that we thought was particularly timely for this conference. So we launched this, in launching the campaign, we also created a custom cloud-based ad building tool that we gave to all of our affiliates. So we built it at the brand level. It allowed them to take all of the templates, all of the design for the campaign, and customize it at any price point in any market anywhere in the world. We're in 72 countries. We work directly with our franchisees in 72 countries. And so it's tricky to launch a campaign that is compatible with everything they're doing in their market in 72 countries. And the tool that we were able to build this great thing called Design Vault allows us to do that, where we can load in the templates and we give them to our affiliates and they can customize down to the agent level as well. And these are, all of the ads were created using listings from across our network. So this is hopefully the sound is better. This is the second example of the live film that we created. This one's brand new.
I've always been a big believer that you can reinvent yourself. I never stop asking, what can I do to keep myself challenged? But it actually took me years to commit to a healthy lifestyle. I wasn't the first client, so I know how hard it is to make that transformation. That's why I have such respect for people trying to make a change. Home is a chance to let my guard down, to switch off after constantly being on. Balance is what keeps me strong and healthy. Miami holds a special place in my heart. The colors, the ocean, it's the perfect place to get inspired. But I think you can make any place your home. My parents are home, Hawaii is home, my friends are home. As long as there's a sense of peace and belonging, that's home.
He is sexy, right? Someone said that? Yeah. Easy on the eyes, that video. But again, it was about, our approach was to put a more modern spin, to give the brand a more modern edit. And in launching the Design Vault tool that I was talking about, the goal, we really put a lot of emphasis on making sure that this campaign was going to work for everyone, and you could customize it at any price point, because Sotheby's International Realty, we sell homes of any price point. We've worked very hard to protect the accessibility for the agents there to sell homes at any price point in any market. So we created some fabulous new technology. Design Vault is really cutting edge. It is something that is quite unique. And we also went back and we reinvented our print publications. So we launched a new magazine, a luxury lifestyle magazine called Reside. We had been publishing print in a couple of different ways for a long time, for many years. And I think what we had seen was that the publications that were coming out in the real estate space were they were mostly listing catalogs. And we tested those listing catalogs in our focus groups. And what we heard from consumers was that they felt like the moment those arrived in the mail, that they were already out of date. And they're probably not wrong. Some of the homes in there had probably already sold. They felt like if they were going to get the most current information about what was available in their neighborhood, even if they were just curious before they had decided to potentially buy or sell, they were going online. Their journey was starting online. So what they were looking for from us was lifestyle content. And so we went back and we reinvented, we took a prior version of Reside that existed and we reimagined the entire publication. It's all powered by the Dow Jones. We took the opportunity to publish the magazine to two different publishers, to Condé Nast and Dow Jones. And what I asked them to do was create a publishing infrastructure that kind of worked the same way Design Vault did, so that we could create a design template and we could create a base book of content, the sort of voice of the brand, the feeling of the brand. But it allowed all of our affiliates to customize to their own unique needs for their own unique market. Condé Nast said, we think this is too hard. We don't think that this can be done. Dow Jones said, it sounds really hard, but we'd like to give it a try. So they did. They built this incredible infrastructure that allows the brand voice to be, or us to maintain the power of the Sotheby's International Realty brand voice, but allows our affiliates and our agents to customize it to their needs. So you'll see some examples across the bottom here of covers on the first issue that published. Actually, these are new ones that are publishing in the next 10 days or so. We built a new hub on Sotheby's Realty.com, an editorial hub that functions more like a lifestyle brand blog. Every affiliate that participates in the program gets customizable email templates for their agents, and there's lots of Reside content living in Design Vault as well. So inside of that magazine, What that platform lets us do is also tell some really important stories. So this is an article from the next issue of Reside, and it tells the story of Rudy's Barbershop, which was founded in Seattle 25 years ago. And they've had a really strong ties to the LGBT community for a long time. They sell a product called the 1-2-3 showering system. And for every 1-2-3 showering system package that they sell, they donate a week's worth of that product to an LGBT homeless center for homeless youth around the country. So it's a really cool story. It's, the public Reside allows us to tell this, I think, in a way that is genuine and meaningful and important to consumers. So I encourage you to check out Rudy's as well. Going back to technology, sort of flipping things back to the other side, we also realized that we had an opportunity to do more in that space. Yes, we're a brand that has a rich history and heritage, but we've also been innovative and first to market for many years in lots of areas. We're not known for it, so I think there's a lot of work to be done to sort of brag about that a little bit more effectively. We got a phone call in August of last year, just a year ago now, from Google, and they said, we've been watching you guys at Sotheby's International Realty. We've been secretly vetting about 150 brands, and we've decided on 4 that we'd like to relaunch our augmented reality platform with, and you're one of them. So they said, we want you to build an augmented reality app, and you've got 4 months to do it, and we're going to launch it in February at the Mobile World Congress. I don't know if the IT team has ever moved that fast before. They certainly pulled out all the stops to make this happen, because when Google calls, you sort of jump at the opportunity. We launched it in February. We launched an augmented reality app that allows agents, and it's public facing as well. It allows agents, I just want to make sure this plays properly. Oh. Sorry, 1 second. I may not get this to play through. It allows agents to customize, to virtually stage furnishing sets in a room or a home. So imagine you're with a client in an unfurnished home and they say, I think it's great, I'm not sure if it's my style, or I'm not sure if my style of home furnishings is going to work in this space. You can open the app with them. Ideally, you encourage them to download it on their phones. You open the app and you can choose a mid-century modern living room set. You scan the floor with the app and you can actually place the furniture on the floor of the room and walk around it in 3 dimensions. So what's fascinating about this, and when we watch consumers use the tool, what we saw happen was sort of the challenge of imagining themselves living in that space just evaporated. It just went away, and all of a sudden they were fascinated with this app, and there's certainly an entertainment quality to it. So we've curated room sets. We have some of our publishing partners, Elle Decor, for example, is curating room sets that we're going to load into Curate so people can have an Elle Decor curated living room set. Curate was designed and built for agents. It's also available to anyone with a smartphone, so it's available to about 1.3 billion smartphones right now. It's a fabulous tool. It's a great way for us to, again, I think, engage in a deeper, more meaningful way, and also a way that's fun and entertaining with our clients. So it's been a big hit with our developers. And certainly, I think it's not a tool that is right for every consumer, but I would imagine that it's a useful tool to have in your toolkit so that when you are talking to that newly affluent millennial client and they're super techie and you get the sense that this is going to really resonate with them, you pull out your phone and you can stage that apartment with them. Fantastic technology partner that we worked with called Roomy. They built the app, and we're continuing to roll out additions and new partners within Curate. So if you haven't seen it, it's available to everyone, so I encourage you to check it out. So I have a note here that I have to, because I want to make sure we get this right. So Sotheby's International Realty is really proud to sponsor the first NAGLREP top LGBT agent list. This is the first time, the inaugural list. We were really excited to partner with this organization and with Jeff and sponsor this list. So I'm going to jump into announcing the people who are on the list, because I want to make sure, and I'm being cognizant of time, I want to make sure that we pay them our respect. So I'm going to go through the list of agents, and if you're here, if you could just do me a favor, if you could stand up, and we'll hold our applause until the end so that everyone's standing and we get a sense of who everyone is and where everyone is, and hopefully we'll have a chance to say hello in person right afterwards. So the list is To qualify for the list, you had to have individual sides or volume and at least 50 sides or $20 million sales volume. So on the sides, at least 50 volume, $20 million sales volume. There's also a team sides and volume split, at least 75 sides or $30 million in sales volume. So I'm just going to go through the list, and hopefully most of our attendees are still here. So Roman Novian. Here. Hi. So again, I've got a group to introduce to you. So if you don't mind, you're going to stand the longest. I appreciate that, and we're going to hopefully, and we'll applaud for everybody right at the end. Mark Lang. Or you can keep applauding. Sasha Blanchette. Joseph Paletto. I see a few more people are here. Avi Dan Gore. Susan Rose. Herman Chan, Robert Dawson, Mario Romero, Nicholas Yale, Chris Benfante, Ivan Estrada, Jay Kipp, Philip Belenki, I hope I got that right. If I didn't, please let me know. Philip Belenki. Scott Curcio. Ellen Grubert. Janice Lippman. Brady Sandal. And Brian McGuire. So if we have the people who are here, if they're all standing, way to go. So congratulations on your achievement. We're really excited to be able to sponsor this list. I think these are remarkable achievements. I think it really speaks to also, I think, the importance of organizations and gatherings like this where we get to come together and share and really tell each other stories that resonate and that matter. So hopefully everyone gets to say hello to all of our list nominees as well. I really appreciate the time. It was great to be here and to talk to all of you, and look forward to being back again next year. Thank you.